Hi, Fede. It's great to see you today. Thank you for sparing some time to talk with me about your work and about the new book that I'm writing, Leading Beyond Sustainability. How are you?
I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see you, Clive, because it's been like 6 years since the last time we talked, and we actually saw each other 6 years ago. No, I'm very happy, very healthy, and very active.
Well, let me just give a bit of background to anybody watching this recording as to how we met, and also linked into that a little bit about the book that I'm writing. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll take it. So let's have a look. Right, here we go, Fede.
We're on.
We're on. I'm going to show you a picture. So can you see that okay?
Yes, I can see
So
this, and I remember when you proposed that we should focus on good things and not stopping the bad things, but actually hoping for getting to good stuff.
yes, that was something that, in conversations you and I had, oh, what was it, nearly 6 years ago, that one of the things everybody notices about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is that some of them are framed in a positive way, but many of them are framed in a negative way. And in general, that's how people often see sustainability, is as a series of challenges that need to be overcome. So they don't get a great press in that respect because people want to focus on, this is my interpretation anyway, want to focus on a brighter future. I want to get excited about making the world a much better place for us all to live in. And in my analysis, and from speaking with thousands of people like you, Fede, because as you know, there we were in the United Nations headquarters in New York, and we did a guided meditation. Do you remember where we went to some place in the future where the world was better? And I repeated that since being with you on several occasions. And people always wanted the same future. It didn't matter whether it was school children, retirees, people in businesses, professional institutions, education, they all wanted a better place. And in my summary, rather than having 17 goals, I've gone for 6. And you can see them on the screen there. Basically, peace, which is about no war and declining violence; connection, which is about collaboration, compassion, love, and kindness; abundance of food, water, energy, services, and wealth; and vitality, health, and well being for all of life; and wisdom to do the right thing the right way at the right time; and opportunity for learning, growth, and contribution. So those were the 6 aspirations. And I know you attended a webinar that I did the other night, or you've seen a recording of it. Any thoughts on that 6? Have we missed anything?
I think we can all subscribe to them, and I think just by getting specific habits on our daily life, we can actually contribute to this. As, for example, in connection, the part of love and kindness isn't about big things; it's about the small daily acts that we do to each other. So I think that's one of the most amazing things about how you comprise them into these 6 is that they become very achievable by daily actions, not by humongous things.
Fantastic. And that's my thoughts entirely. And indeed, most of the book is focusing on ordinary people, people like you and I, Fede, who are doing things that are taking us closer to these aspirations. And some of the people you will know, as you'll see in just a moment. But I also did do that analysis to see whether the 6 aspirations embedded the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So on the screen now, you can see there they are, the 17 SDGs that have been such a big part of my life and your life for the last, oh gosh, 8 years or so. And the only one of the 6 aspirations that doesn't have any directly linked to it is wisdom, which to me is an exciting new addition. You could argue that wisdom is a thread that runs through all 17. You know, as a set of goals themselves, they embody wisdom. But I think it's worth, especially with where the world is right now, to bring it out as a 6th aspiration to focus on. And I'm going to whiz forward to just one more slide because it's got you on it. And oh, there it is. So this is a picture of, there you are at the bottom left. I'm sure you can see yourself.
Yeah.
And the story from my side, I want to know a little bit more about where this picture was taken. But from my side, the story here is that I was walking down a road not far from where I live with my colleague John Campbell. At the time, John and I were both working for Prime East, and John's phone rang, and at the other end of the line, it was Phil Clothier. I didn't know it at first because all I could hear was John saying, oh, yes, I'll ask him. And then John said to me, it's Phil. He wants to know if we can go and run a workshop at the United Nations headquarters in New York. And it was literally that December 2015. And the phone call was in the November. So we both thought there's no chance that our diaries will be able to make this happen. But when we looked at the date, with a little bit of moving things around, we both agreed that, yes, we could go and do it. And then the next thing, of course, was there we were working with ISEC in New York. And you were one of the key people at that meeting from ISEC, one of the young leaders. And to cut a long story very short, we did a demonstration of a means of engaging people on the Sustainable Development Goals, and you and your associates decided you were going to take this to every young person on the planet, which was just amazing. I didn't expect that as an outcome from that workshop at the UN. But Fede, tell me a little bit about what has happened since we met you at the United Nations and what that photograph on the screen there is all about.
Yeah, so back in 2015, when the SDGs were launched, a couple of things happened. I think I mentioned it before to you. My niece actually was born also back in 2015. So it was kind of a connection of things of the SDGs being launched. Now I have a niece, and I was part of the world's largest youth-led organization. And I was thinking, okay, so what can I actually do to make the world a better place for my niece? And the SDGs were right there. So we started working on this, and we created something called Youth for Global Goals. So how every young person in the world can contribute to a better place. And that's when we talked to you and we started like planning this out and like thinking about it on how to actually use, or actually not use, but like join everyone into a single cause of making the world a better place from the place of young people. This was created, and the goal was that every young person in the world can contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. And that happened back in 2016, as you said, or 2015, I think, actually. And then in 2017, we partnered with the world's largest lesson, which is an initiative out of the UK, and to teach children about sustainability and how they can take action. And we partnered with them to make young people around the world go to schools and work with young kids on how to contribute. So we had an event in Cartagena, Colombia, where 800 young people from 125 countries and territories came. And all of these 800 people, we went to different schools around the city, and in a single day, we teach more than 10,000 kids about the Sustainable Development Goals and how they can contribute. So this picture is a picture in one of the schools that we were at there in Cartagena, Colombia, in which we were just engaging people from 125 countries and territories. And you can imagine that it's not that common to have 100 people from 100 countries in one place. imagine that for a kid in Colombia. It's not that common that you see people coming to you and you're able to hear their language, see how they write in their language as well. So beyond the SDGs, there was also a connection of humanity working for a better world. So this picture actually is showing that.
Fantastic. I'm just looking at it now, Fede, and I mean, it just looks amazing. I don't know how much you had to stage manage for that particular photograph, but every single person has got a smile on their face. They're leaping, they're cheering. They've got the individual SDGs on those square cards, and even the ring of the 17 there. It's one of my favorite photographs ever. It really is, and it just makes me so happy to think that. You know, that you've done all this and with colleagues. It's a real fabulous achievement, and I congratulate you with all that you've done. So listen, I want, much as I'd love to leave it up, I'm going to take that screen down and stop sharing, because I'd like to talk some more with you, and I'd really like to know what else you've been up to, because I know you've been up to some amazing things. So there we go, back together again. So I just think that is fantastic, Fede, and I absolutely love what you've done, and all the people as well that you've worked with to make it happen. But tell me, since then, what has happened? I know you've got so much to share.
So yeah, like a lot of things happened. I ended my term in ISEC International in the late 2017. Like ISEC is about young people getting new opportunities and all of this. So I decided to come back to Colombia and contribute to my country. Like Colombia is not known for being the safest or the most best place to be at, but in the end you work for the things that where you come from. So I decided to come back. And it was a bit shocking because when I landed again back in my city, the first thing that I noticed was the air. It was spicy, kind of a thing. It was weird. So I asked around, and they told me that it was air pollution. So I started researching about it, and one of the main causes of pollution in Latin American cities is transport. And Medellin has one of the worst airs in Latin America because we are a valley, so we're surrounded by mountains and all of this. And that connects to my family because my sister told me that Milagros, which is my niece, Milagros means miracles in English.
Very suitable.
Yeah, that she was getting actually very sick in the lungs because of the air pollution, and that they needed to take Milagros every once in a while out of Medellin so she could actually like clean her lungs and everything. So I talked to the doctors, and they told me that that happens to Milagros and to every child that is growing in Latin America, that they're actually be growing with lung diseases and all of these type of challenges because of the decisions that we've made of having transport the way we do it. And that is because of air pollution. That happens to every child. And I started researching more about it, and I also found out that the King's College in London, they did a research that connected air quality with mental health. So the worse the air quality is, the more mental health issues the population will have. So air quality impacts every aspect of our lives as humans. So I decided to start working on that, and I created a startup where we convert gas cars into electric vehicles, which was very cool. And we started working on that, and we looked, then after, like we did a prototype and all of this to see that it actually worked. Then we decided with my co-founder to look for an incubator to help us understand better what to do. And we didn't find any program here in Colombia that understood impact as part of a startup. So they also a tech startup, and they wanted, and all they were looking for was the next unicorn and the first unicorn in Colombia and all of these type of things. So none of them resonated with us. And I remember that when I was part of ISEC, one of the organizations that we used to work the most with in every country and in different cities was Impact Hub, which is a global network for impact startups to be part of communities and programs that enhance their potential to generate impact and be financially sustainable. So I Googled Impact Hub Medellin, and I found out that they didn't exist. So I was like, well, might as well do it. So I decided to create Impact Hub because I started to meet a lot of founders that didn't have a place or resonated with the methodologies that there were in Colombia. So I created Impact Hub in Medellin, and we became an incubator for SDG-based startups. That was back in 2018, right? And since then, we're now 22 people. We're also running Impact Hub in Cali, and we're going to be opening Impact Hub in Bogota. And so far, we have supported more than 1,000 ventures, startups, and small companies.
1,000?
Including the Sustainable Development Goals into their business model and becoming impact startups. So that's Impact Hub. And I continued with Energía Vectorial, in which we have worked in converting buses, trucks, and we're doing a prototype for a boat. So we can also work with companies to not drop oil or anything in the rivers or in the ocean.
That is absolutely amazing, Fede. And how does the Impact Hub get funded?
So as Impact Hub, we have different programs. We have programs that we have created. So as Impact Hub, we have specific focuses that we have understood that are our contribution. So we have a huge focus on gender. So we have programs just for female founders because there are huge barriers for women in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So we have programs just to support women. So we work in the cities and in the rural areas in engaging women with entrepreneurship to achieve economic autonomy. So we have partners around the country and around the globe because the European Union and USA, they have noticed us and they have funded our program. So we're able to reach more women. We have actually worked with 400 women this way. And we're launching a fund to finance them as well. So they can access loans at a lower rate that the banks are offering them. So there's companies that sponsor our programs, or we also operate programs from big corporates. So there's a bank here in Colombia that is called Bancolombia, and they have a program just for agropreneurs, so entrepreneurs that work around agriculture. But as a bank, they don't have the methodologies to support the business or the entrepreneurs. So they hire us to run and operate the program. That program is called Encampo, in which we work every year with 120 agropreneurs around Colombia to eradicate hunger. So the main goal of these entrepreneurs is to eradicate hunger, and we support them with business and startup methodologies for them to achieve scale, and also then to become bankable or finance or be able to be financed by the bank so they can grow their startups.
That's amazing, and I know how much hard work it must be to approach all those organizations and get the infrastructure and the funding all sorted out. So you've done an amazing job. You must have worked very hard.
Well, I think I surrounded myself with the right people. Like selecting good people to be around you that share your vision of a better world. It's actually, my hard work is to find them so they can actually make the impact. And then connecting partners, like one of the main things that we have as Impact Hub is that we're able to speak English, which not a lot of people in Colombia do. So we're able to talk to international people to tell what we're doing. So people are like, oh, I like that. I would like to support what you're doing as well. So I'm very grateful that you opened the space for us, because more people can look at us and say, hey, that's a cool thing. Let's see what we can do there and partner with them. So it's also an opportunity for us to get more partners.
Fantastic. And there's another financial question gnawing at the back of my mind with the electric conversions. I assume it's quite expensive to convert an internal combustion engine vehicle to electric. I have a friend actually who lives about 3 miles from here who converts VW camper vans, Volkswagen camper vans, and makes them electric. I can send you a link if you're interested.
That'll be amazing.
But I know it's quite expensive. Can people afford to make the conversions?
So can I share my screen so I can show you more about it?
By all means, that'd be great.
Amazing. So give me a second. So I find what I want to share and we put it on the right place.
Yeah, if you need to have sound with it, just make sure that you click the appropriate button, if that makes sense.
Or let me know when you can see the screen.
I can see the screen, Fede.
Amazing. So this is Energía Vectorial, and we focus on decarbonizing mobility by converting gas cars into electric vehicles. It started with Milagros, as I mentioned you. This is Milagros. So
Oh, wonderful.
she's riding her bike, and she was the one who sparked this because she was getting very sick. So I wanted to do something for her so she can live in a better world. And as I told you, we found out that most of the air pollution comes from cars, and this is a issue that is connected to climate change, which is a global challenge that we have right now. And we found out that cities in Latin America, up to 90% of the total emissions comes from transport, and that just 3% of the vehicles generate up to 90% of those emissions. So with just focusing a very small number of cars, we're able to make the air way better for everyone. So the process is very simple. As you already know, we take out the engine and the gas tank and we put on an electric engine and a battery pack. And it starts from $8,000 to $9,000, the conversion. It depends on a couple of things. So we decrease a lot the cost of acquiring an electric vehicle. And by that, we also make it more accessible to people here in Colombia because we have worked around a couple of things. The first one is that we can convert any vehicle and that car can be plugged to any charging station, but it also can be plugged directly into the wall. So you don't need a charging station for our vehicles to recharge. So you can go into rural areas and you can charge there without a charging station. So we're aiming here for accessibility. So we're able to accelerate the adoption of electric mobility in Latin America. We have specific things like we reduce the cost of going electric by 65%. We reduce the operational cost by up to 60%. We can convert any car and we can adapt the conversion to the needs of the client. So if you're a last mile delivery company, most of the times their cars only move around 30 kilometers per day. So they don't need an electric car with 200 kilometers of autonomy or range. So we can convert the car to just have 80 kilometers of range, making it way cheaper for them to convert. So we are in that way accelerating the conversion. So we work with iconic cars, supercars, or small cars. And this is one of the segments that has popped the most here. So people bring their old cars and we convert them to electric. Some of the times we need to theme them up or resurrect the car itself. So it looks very cool. And we also work with corporates and public sector. So regarding the cost that you mentioned, 5 years ago, the mayor of my city, Medellin, he bought a lot of electric buses. These buses, he bought them for $250,000 each from China. If we would have converted them, the conversion would have been around $70,000 each. So we would have been a third of the price and would have been generating more impact. So this solution has reduced the cost of cities, companies, and people of going electric. And also, we don't externalize manpower or human power to China. We actually keep the human power and the labor in our country. So we're also generating employment in this type of industry. So there's a lot of competitors. The cheapest car in Latin America is the Renault Twizy, which is the one that you see on the left, where you can only fit one person. That car is $11,000 here in Colombia. And our cheapest conversion is $8,000 for a car that is that you can fit 4 people in it. So it's cheaper to convert, and we're also not throwing a lot of the cars into the trash. So this is a bit of financial. We actually have been growing every year. We have also exported to Honduras and Guatemala, also expanding into other markets. So we're thinking of franchising a model in which we retain the distribution of equipment, but we're able to allow more workshops to do this process. The market is huge. Just by focusing on 20,000 cars in Colombia, which is 0.01% of the cars of Colombia, there's a $200 million market, and it scales to trillions of dollars in the whole Americas. This is our workshop. So as you can see in the left bottom, you can see one of the UK cars is a Mini Cooper from 1961. That car is already electric. We have a couple of Beetles. We also do maintenance. We have converted horse carriages. So Cartagena don't use horses in the carriages, so there's no animal cruelty anymore. And we're prototyping boats and ships. So it doesn't, companies and people don't contaminate rivers on oceans and the water in general. And yeah, no, like this is a pitch because we were also in an investment round, so we're looking for money right now, but we'll focus on other stuff. And yeah, we have been recognized a bit around the world because of the work that we do. And we have a specific focus on preventing emissions and working around climate action and sustainable cities. And yeah, that's it. That's a bit of Energía Vectorial.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Fede. I really appreciate it. And how many vehicles did you say you've converted up to now?
I think we've converted around 50 already.
50 already. And
Yeah.
how many vehicles are there in the city?
1.5 million.
1.5 million. Gosh, it's such a big quest, isn't it? Such a big quest. But at the same time as you're doing this, there will be other actions. This is the thing about sustainability, climate action, clean air, is that there will be other people doing other things. It's not just you doing this. There will be new electric vehicles being sold. There will be alternative means of transport and other measures to make the air cleaner. And but you're leading the way. This sort of thing creates ripples. Have you noticed anybody else copying your initiative?
So I think it also works to inspire a lot of people. And actually, the workshop where we're in is a very big warehouse. So what we've been able to do is to partner with other electric mobility startups and allow them to work out of there. And we cooperate in certain things. So we do some electric things for them. They do designing for all of us. So actually, there's 4 companies in the same warehouse, 4 small ventures, and we work together in different things, in different aspects of mobility, charging stations, micro mobility with scooters and bikes, and us with the vehicles. So it allows us also to kind of cooperate and generate clusters. So that's very cool. And we've also been talking to people around Colombia. So there's similar companies in Colombia. They don't focus on public transport. They focus mainly on high-income individuals for converting their vehicles, but we cooperate, so we're able to also present joint proposals for the government, which is also something that we're working on right now. And only through cooperation is that we're able to be talking head-to-head to the government. So yeah, it generates this.
This is exactly why one of the aspirations of my 6 is connection, because it is by people connecting and collaborating, sharing ideas, encouraging each other, that we do make the world a brighter place. So I absolutely love what you're doing, Fede. And tell me, how far ahead do you dare look with this with this work that you're doing, and what does that future look like?
So I would love to clean the air of the country. I think that's a big aspiration, but I think it's doable, and we're just a very few decisions away. But it also is on us to show them that it is possible, because not everybody has in their head that it is possible to do something. So I
Yes,
understand that our process of these years of working, plus the ones that are coming, is also about showing that it is possible from Colombian initiatives to achieve impact in our country. So I believe that we're able to achieve this, and more people would be doing this as well. And also to expand this initiative throughout the continent. As I mentioned, we're thinking about franchises, but also we have actually trained a lot of people that get to see what we do, and we tell them, yeah, you can come to our workshop, and if you have a couple of days, we can train you on how to do it, so you can do it as well. Because in the end, it's about more people doing it. So we're very
exactly.
open with the process.
Fantastic. And I guess there are so many things that are sort of coming together to make this work more viable and more likely. I'm thinking, for example, of the cost of the components as there are more electric vehicles being made, presumably things like batteries and the motors and the charging systems are all coming down in price in real terms.
Yes, like 10 years ago, the cost of batteries was double as it is today. And as
Yes.
there's more organizations working on this, BYD, Toyota, Tesla, and all of these, they're looking for new chemistries and ways to make the batteries better. So the price will continue to go lower. So I think we still need to put in place certain measures for companies that are extracting these minerals from earth to actually do it in a good way, so they don't
Yes.
employ children, so they focus on sustainable manufacturing processes. So there's a lot of challenges around this, but we need to move forward to actually understand what those challenges mean and be able to address them.
Yes, and I was reading an excellent book. I can recommend it to you, Fede.
Please.
I mention it in my book, but the book Brighter by a man called Adam Dorr. Have you come across it?
No, I haven't, but I'll look for it.
Well, Adam Dorr is part of a think tank in California, the Rethink X think tank, and they look at trends in all sorts of things, but particularly in things like energy and transport, and obviously batteries, autonomous vehicles, all that sort of thing. And he talks about just how the price of all the things we've talked about are coming down, but also what you mentioned about some of the minerals that are required for battery production. He's looking ahead now a few years, and his belief is that we'll be getting artificial intelligence and robotics to be providing the labor for mining these minerals and making the batteries. So who knows what's around the corner? It's an exciting time to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's very cool every time a new car comes in, and because we're excited that even if it's just one car, it's one less car that is producing emissions. So one by
Exactly.
one.
Exactly. It's one less car, and it's that ripple effect when people see that car driving down the street.
Yeah, everybody starts stopping the car like, oh, this is
Everybody
really
starts.
electric.
Yes. I have one more question, Fede, and that is, of course, the vehicle, the car, is part of a wider system these days, because the people who are really making this count are people who have also got solar and perhaps batteries on their homes. And of course, they can then charge their cars up, getting energy from the sun, and it makes the whole system cheaper and more affordable. Um, are you getting tempted to move into that space, or are you leaving that to somebody else?
So we actually want to focus way a lot in the car, and we're
Yes.
partnering with other organizations, but we have worked with different organizations, for example, the US Embassy in Colombia, and we actually set up a charging system based out of solar panels. So we can
Brilliant.
integrate those solutions because they are not hard to install once we have the components. So we buy stuff and we set it up as part of a charging station of electric cars in the US Embassy. So we have done it. We focus way more on deepening our understanding and knowledge on transport and mobility. And we're partnering with organizations, but we can also do it, not our focus, but if someone asks for it, might as well do it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, I have no more questions for you, Fede, except is there anything else that you'd like to say while we're recording this conversation?
No, first, I would like to thank you, Clive, for the wisdom that you share and your books. I think that actually inspires a lot of people, and you reach people that we might not reach. Like as when we were working in Youth for Global Goals, we were aiming at young people, but if it was not for people like you, we would probably not a lot of people will know about the sustainability or the sustainable development goals themselves. So I would like to thank you for that. And if anytime that you want to talk, just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to jump in a call. We can update everyone, and hopefully more people get inspired by this and start or continue doing more things.
Thank you so much, Fede.